Welcome to Unequally Yoked Us Now. I am Neal Winters.
And I'm Naomi Winters.
And guess who's with us again? Introduce yourself.
I'm Jen. I am a friend, a virtual friend and a real life friend.
Yes, the Canada. I'm not going to mispronounce Canada this time because I have respect for your country.
Thanks.
So did I ever tell you why I said like CA? My dad told me this horrible joke. He said, do you know how they named Canada? And he said they pulled letters out of a hat.
Oh,
and
dear.
So the first letter was CA.
Oh my. It's so funny. I don't hear people say A. Have you ever heard me say that?
No, you've never said
if
A.
I do, can you? I don't. Well, I know that some people do, but I genuinely don't think I do, and I don't hear very many people that I know say A.
Mm-mm.
It seems like a strange trope about Canadians. However, I'm sure that it happens. So if I do, please be like, "Oh, you did it." That would be funny because I don't know that I do.
You do not.
Okay,
no.
I think when I went on vacation to Canada in 1994, I heard A lot. And then also
Really?
Strange Brew says A, Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas.
Oh,
so
yeah, true. It might be more Eastern. And also when you came to Canada, you went to the Stampede. So that's not really a fair representation. You might got that's a lot of cowboys and hillbillies and hicks. Coming from somebody who lives as a cowgirl and lives in the hicks. But I'm just saying that's not quite fair.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we also saw Banff, but that's a whole different place too. So
beautiful. I love Banff. Yeah, I just remember gorgeous.
Yeah, I just remember Banff was like they had that 1,000-spot campground, and it's reserved, like it reserves out a year in advance. I was being a small town boy from Price. It was.
Yeah, you went to a really touristy spot of Banff. Yeah, that's not quite as nice as going with a local and just seeing nature. Yeah, you went to very touristy place. Yeah, that's okay though. Okay. Still beautiful, but
I think we did like Lake Louise and so
yeah,
anyway.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So last week we ended up talking about we ended with talking about our kids and about women's issues a little bit.
Oh, you actually want to start this?
She does. She's taking the lead.
Go ahead, Naomi.
I like it.
So we thought maybe we would get into our personal upbringing and relationships and how we parent and how that's all wrapped up with women's roles and family systems
and I just want to say level set at the beginning of this in a good way. Like last time, and I emailed you this, Jen.
Yeah, totally.
Last time we interviewed you, and it was and it was good. Like it was exactly what we wanted. But this time, I want it to be more of like you're a contributor rather than a subject. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Yep, absolutely. Sounds good. Totally.
So anyway, go ahead, Naomi. Oh, is that Celsius?
No.
Oh, I was just curious.
It's coffee.
Oh, I'm kidding. Celsius is a. Do you know what? Do you guys have Celsius over there?
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm not much anything.
It's like an energy.
Yeah, I know it.
It's a hydrating energy drink.
Got it.
Yeah, she was drinking that this morning, so I was just making her uncomfortable. Anyway, go ahead, Naomi. I apologize.
Sounds like some masochistic bullshit over there. We got some male chauvinist telling you what you're allowed to drink on this women's podcast. Get out of here. Just kidding.
True that.
Go ahead, Naomi. You talk.
I deserve that. I deserve that, Jen.
So once again, I'm going to be really transparent and vulnerable. That seems to be my thing. But this week, a lot of childhood trauma came up for me, and it's been staring me at the face and just kind of coming to fruition, a solidified memory and all the different patterns. But for me.
Okay, yeah. So she had we were in couples therapy this week, and we had an incident a couple weeks ago where we won't go into details, but she lied to me about something that was pretty minor, but
It was about a tire
it
that
was
popped.
yeah, and how the popping happened. But we kind of realized in therapy that she was so afraid of disapproval and passive aggressive silent treatment from me and it kind of all rooted back to her childhood trauma with her mom kicking her, making her feel like she wasn't part of the family
Because I had misbehaved.
so
Yeah.
Wow.
I got sent to my room a lot as a child, and it was a young child, and it was in like we would have family dinners every night, and apparently I would misbehave. A lot of it I didn't understand what I was doing or why I was in trouble, so I would ask why, and they figured that was arguing, or at least I think my mom did. So she would say, "Go to your room, come back when you can act like part of the family." And the message I received was, if I disapprove or do something wrong, I'm not okay. And if I'm not okay, people are going to leave me, which comes from being in my room for hours on end, trying to figure out what I did wrong and why I didn't deserve to be a part of the family. So, she tapped that crap out of me. She did great technique for trauma, and it's still there. It's going to take a lot.
when you say she, you mean the therapist.
The therapist, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And tapping is like some sort of a magical.
Sometimes you can go like this. It tricks the nervous system basically into stopping being into fight or flight mode, or what they call the lizard brain. Where you really feel like it's life or death, because I will be left alone. So that was the response I was having. My vagus nerve was going nuts. So we interrupted that with a technique, and it seemed to really help. And I feel a lot lighter, and I don't feel like I have to hide. I don't feel like the child in the corner getting scolded. And told I wasn't worthy to be part of the family.
Yeah. And it sounds like your experience was being isolated so that you could figure it out alone.
And this was all before the age of 7. I wasn't old enough to understand.
My question is, and Jen, you contribute too. How much of that is religion, and how much of that is, bad demonstrations of parenting from your mom's parents?
Generations to generations.
Generational trauma.
Right.
And
just the same parenting style being taught. And the truth is, it was a common practice of parents of that age, right? It was very guilt-ridden, consequences, and it's because it's effective behaviorally. Like my mom was a behavioralist, but mixed in with like not feeling good about myself, not feeling okay.
Right. And it's funny because generationally, and even in that era, there was even the saying that children should be seen and not heard. So the fact that you wanted clarification and said, why, was like, can you just go to your room and come back when you can just fall in line and stop disrupting our family? Meanwhile, you're just being developmentally a normal child, asking questions and not being certain, and then isolated to figure it out alone. Like, yeah, it's not, it still happens now, but it was really typical at that time.
Yeah.
Did you have anything similar to that, Jen? Or was your upbringing perfect?
My upbringing was not perfect, but it was good. I do think my parents did the best they could. There's probably a million things we could unpack there. My upbringing was challenging, but I wasn't silenced. I think that my my personality was very different from my mom's, so she didn't really understand me as much because I was such a questioner, a lot like Naomi. I was a lot like Naomi in that I questioned a lot, and my mom didn't quite understand that because she wasn't much of a questioner. She just believed what she was told and kind of obeyed authority, and she was a peacemaker and a people pleaser. And I am not so much. Like, I do want to please people, but that's not my inherent goal. I do like to know why. So my dad, on the other hand, would encourage me to ask questions. Like, he always would say, my dad actually wouldn't tell me anything without me figuring it out for myself. For example, when I turned 18 and I was able to vote, I asked my dad, well, who do you vote for? And he was like, that's not the way this works, kid. You better do your own research and figure out who you think you should vote for. And so even at the beginning of things like that, I was taught to think for myself and have my own opinions, which then fast forward 30 years later bit me in the ass when I had my own opinions about Christianity and everything else in the world and lost my faith. Whoops. But the reason that happened is that I did feel I was allowed to think for myself and have my own opinions when it came to my dad. And my mom let me have my own opinions. She just didn't know why I needed to so bad.
I'm more like my mom than my dad, I think, because I don't want to speak for her personality, but I think she taught me how to be a people pleaser. And my dad was more like, if you argue with me, unless you agree with me, you're wrong. But I don't remember getting the silent treatment from my parents as much as just getting swatted and being told. And the interesting thing that the therapist said is that, yes, physical corporal punishment hurts physically more, but long-term damage comes from the silent treatment.
Right.
More long-term damage comes from the silent treatment than the other.
Oh, for sure. I think that's true in a lot of ways because it sort of impacts. I don't know. They both are, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And what exactly she said was approval and love being tied to behavior, like that conditionalness is more damaging, not the silent treatment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is why we have two of us in therapy, so one of us can remember what was actually said. The other of us just...
one of us usually does. It's usually Neal.
Can we go back for a second without clarifying the incident or anything? But what was the fear of being honest about what happened? What was the fear of what reaction was it you were wanting to avoid from Neal?
Yeah.
What reaction was it you were trying to bypass?
Disapproval.
Okay.
Anger. Anger's a really hard one when I feel anger toward me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's scary. It makes you feel...
I feel like I am very much a people pleaser because of all this. And because it's my nature.
She's a people pleaser, a beautiful people pleaser. The
idea was that it was totally ridiculous. She had me fill in the blank, like,
okay.
And it jumped. I mean, there were logical steps in my mind, although they didn't really make sense. But it basically jumped from he's going to be disapproved and like disapproving of that I popped my tire. But the truth is I ran into a curb and I told him that it was construction or something. Like, it must have been construction because
big 3-inch hole on the sidewall.
Oh, darn.
I just really felt like I was going to get scolded like a child.
Right.
And eventually that meant he was going to leave me. I was going to be left alone. Nobody was going to love me. It was just totally being left alone again.
So your jump was catastrophic thinking.
Yeah.
Rather than...
And the truth is, the way that Neal responds to things like that is he gets quiet because he knows his gut reaction is what he saw in his home, which was anger. and scolding. And he does not do that. He stays quiet, but I interpret that as just seething anger and
Totally.
disappointment, and because that's the message that I got,
Yeah,
you know?
totally. Yeah. And Neal talked about last episode that we were recording. He talked about the fact that he wanted to chat a little bit about passive aggressiveness this time around. But for me personally, one of my the personality trait that I struggle with the most in other people is passive aggressiveness, because I prefer people to be aggressive or assertive than confusing. And I find passive aggression confusing because, like you say, what's underneath it? Are they going to just freaking blow up, or are they okay? And not knowing whether they're actually calm because they're calm or they're calm because they're suppressing rage is so scary, because you can't tell what they're thinking when they're being passive aggressive, because you don't know if you can trust it.
Well, it's like Yellowstone.
Surface emotion. You're not sure.
You've got Old Faithful, that blows up, but it's got the reason why it blows up is because it's got all this underlying tension in the caldera of Yellowstone, building and building and building, and you're like, when is Old Faithful going to turn into the full fucking volcano and unleash hell all over me?
Yeah, and that's really scary if that's something you experienced as a little girl under the age of 7, and then never really being confident that you knew what other people thought of you, or whether you were loved unconditionally or whether it was conditional love, and like all of that is really scary to process.
Yeah. And the truth is, my parents did not intend to do that, and their love absolutely was not conditional. And they thought I was part of the family and worthy, but that's not the message I got, just because I was so young. I wasn't the appropriate age for that.
It's in another simile, or is this a metaphor? One of the two. So when I was working, I worked for I'm an accounting consultant in my real life, and I had an experience where I was working on a public company project, and we almost missed the filing deadline there were a lot of reasons, but to make that deadline, I worked literally like a week straight without sleep to make it happen. And the CEO, who I have no respect for, I'll be honest, but he told me, he's like, you almost missed the deadline. This was awful. I said, I worked my ass off to make it. He goes, if you miss that deadline, nobody cares how much you worked. You still miss the deadline. The outcome was still the same. And I find, and it's the same way with family interactions. The intention might be good, but the outcome is still the outcome. And that's sometimes it's easy to give the benefit of the doubt, and sometimes it's really difficult to give the benefit of the doubt and be understanding. So in other words, to our little childhood brains, the fact that your mom loves you and your dad loves you doesn't mean much when you're locked away in your room, confused about what they're talking about. So
and like the two can coexist, right? Like they can, those two things can be true at the same time, that they did love you unconditionally and they meant well and they were doing the best they could at the time. It does not change the fact that it did cause trauma, which is why we can love our parents and our families and have so much peace now after the fact, but also be like, but it still happened. It still caused a change in your neurology, requiring you to do some rewiring of your nervous system. And that, what did you call it? What kind of brain? Your
lizard brain.
Lizard brain. Yeah, I love that. That's so true. Like, to rewire that part of your amygdala or whatever it is with somatic therapy. It's incredible that we have those therapies, but it doesn't change that you do need that healing to happen.
And that gets it. Well, not that gets into me the value of these awesome therapeutic methodologies that they have now. Like, you can do talk therapy for months and years and not have nearly the same impact as what some of these new newfangled therapeutic techniques produce. It's just amazing. I mean,
They
thank
know
you,
how to trick
therapists.
the brain because now they understand a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so one of the
Interesting.
things we thought we could maybe talk about, and we don't have to, but the family roles, like the types of relationships that you got based on your experience in your family, things like secure, avoidant, dismissive, fearful, like that type of stuff. Do you remember the names at all, or what all of that is? Because
I
you
do.
know
I have
that
to
stuff.
grab my phone real quick though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the one that brought up this idea for talking about those, Jen. I don't know why
I
you weren't
know.
prepared. I'm
Sorry,
kidding.
I'm
Oh my
prepared. I
gosh.
got wait, I'm getting my note.
Just
Hang on.
wait.
Shush. I'm gonna shush.
Man.
Shush.
I deserve to be shushed.
Okay. I'm just kidding. Okay, the attachment styles there's 4 main ones, and of course it's just a theory, but it's a very helpful theory. Secure attachment is one, avoidant dismissive, avoidant fearful, or anxious attachment style. So those are kind of the 4 that most people see. Secure attached would be basically that would be somebody with a really regulated nervous system that trusts that people love them and they love, they are loved and that they love others and they feel
themselves.
confident in that. They don't overanalyze every little thing that is said and done because they feel pretty confident and secure. Like that's a lovely thing to have. And I actually do have a secure attachment. I'm very lucky in that way.
I thought I did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember in great detail each one, but avoidant dismissive would be somebody whose attachment style is sort of avoiding the depth of things and their surface level is dismissive of things. Like they don't really want to get into it because they don't care. Like they sort of act as though they don't care. Deep down, they certainly do. But their main way of interacting with others is avoidant dismissive of big details. They just don't want to go there.
Would that be kind of passive aggressive too?
I think so. I could be wrong, but I kind of thought passive aggressive would maybe be the avoidant dismissive. Yeah, I think so. And then avoidant fearful is more avoiding deep connections because they're deeply scared everybody doesn't like them, or they're not going to like them if they really knew them. So they avoid those deep connections because deep down they're very afraid of being hurt or wounded or betrayed. So they're avoiding those deep connections out of fear.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be more. And then anxious attachment is, you see anxious attachment a lot in people who maybe even like a little bit of that neurodiversity where they have ADHD and that dopamine desire where when they attach, they like love bomb, like they are attached so fast, like this is my best friend. And they just met them and they trust them way too quick and tell them way too much. But then also if something goes wrong in a friendship, that's my worst enemy and I hate them and I know everything about them is bad. Like it's all or nothing. Avoidant can be, or sorry, not avoidant, anxious can be just really anxiety ridden with their relationships in both ways, in a good way or a bad way. But it's all about a lot of energy in that friendship, right? Or marriage.
I think I had that with my father growing up.
Yeah, see, and we would have different attachment styles with different people. That's true too, Neal. Mm-hmm.
Because when I just remember when as a kid, anytime that I felt like my dad and I were getting along really well, I was constantly waiting for the other shoe to fall.
Yeah.
When am I going to do something that pisses him off and he gets really mad at me? And
right.
And it was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So yeah, it's pretty amazing the way those parenting and to this day I think about those feelings as a child and how I parent our kids. And am I being the type of father that they're scared that they're going to get in trouble all the time? That's a very big deal to me, that I don't want them to feel that way. So
right.
yeah, I mean, I hate to brag, but I am pretty damn good.
It's true. I mean,
That's good.
but
That
no,
was
I
nice.
like to
Yeah.
mirror back
Okay.
what he said, and you can cut this out if you don't want to share it, but you said that your fear, like what you jumped to, was that you'd be found out and wanting.
Hmm.
That if people saw the real you,
It's still my fear.
yeah, it wouldn't
Yeah.
be
Mhm.
enough. You would come up short.
Yep.
They might see you for what you really are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you don't want that.
And is that,
well,
but
I-
is that the root of the passive aggressive thing? Is like feeling like you need to be guarded and not allow aggression because you're not sure that you can show assertiveness and firmness without being aggressive. Like, are you
That-
afraid of the aggressive side of yourself, so you're calming it down all the time?
a little
That you're
bit,
worried
and
it's going to
also
be too, like your dad, kind of like, are you worried your dad's going to come out of your mouth at your kids?
a little bit, and I also don't like making people feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
If that makes
Mhm.
sense. So
Yeah.
Unless it's silly.
unless it's silly, yeah, like I'll joke about shit all the time, and I'll
Right.
say silly things, but sometimes people don't realize that I'm being sarcastic and joking, and they'll take it very, very personally, and then I'll live to
Mm.
regret it. But
Yeah.
I don't mind people being direct with me. Like, we're from Utah, and I worked with Utah people, and then my first kind of big job, my second big job, was with a firm out of Philadelphia. And the difference between working with people from Philadelphia and the East Coast and working with people from Utah is night and day.
Mm.
Because Philadelphia people, and I respect this, are very, very direct. They tell you exactly what your problem is, but they'll also tell you what your good traits are as well. So
Yeah.
I don't mind. It kind of bothers me when people are really direct and mean to me, but at the same time, I respect it. And I have a hard time doing the same thing for other people because I don't want them to feel bad, which is weird.
Mm.
I find
Mhm.
it comforting because I know I don't have to guess. I know exactly where
Yeah.
they stand.
Totally. See, and I as a nurse, like I preceptor a lot of nursing students, and every time I have a new student that I'm mentoring, I'll have them for a month or 3 months, and I'm their mentor. And my first conversation is always, if I'm not happy with you, you will know. If I am pleased with you, I will tell you. If you need correction, I'll gently do it. I'll never embarrass you in front of somebody, but you're not going to have to guess. And if you want to tell me some feedback because you're not happy with me, or you need more guidance, or you want me to shut up a bit and let you take more of the lead with clients, then just tell me that. Just be like, Jen, shut up. And I won't be offended. I'll be thankful that you're telling me what you need, because I want you to tell me what you need. So, because I can't read your mind. And so we always have that conversation on the first day I meet a nursing student. And I think I'm like that with most people in friendships also, because I think we talked about that a little last time about being nervous to say what you need. I think that Naomi gave an example of needing to go to the washroom and somebody went around her and she had stood there waiting and waiting because she didn't feel like she could say what she needed. And I find sometimes people need to know that they're allowed to do that, though. Sometimes you can't just do it without somebody giving you permission and being like, tell me, I think I've told Neal that even in our friendship over the years, where he'll say, sorry if I said too much, or sorry if I, whatever. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, if I am finding you annoying, I'll tell you, hey, I'm busy. I'll talk to you in 3 days, things
Yeah.
like that. But that's my personality. And maybe it's also related to attachment styles, because I'm securely attached. So I don't feel worried about what other people think, because I assume they're probably going to tell me. Or if
Right.
they're being passive aggressive, I'll see it and I'll be like, wait, I know you said this, but I feel like that's not what you meant. So time to clarify, because I don't like the way that made me feel. Like I can have that conversation, but
That's
it could
really
be
healthy. That's what I'm striving for.
I
Cool.
get so worried about getting in trouble from asking for permission when I was growing up. When I was a young warthog.
Yeah.
Can you sing that?
When I
I
was a
found
young
my
mortal. Absolutely.
I
I don't
don't know
remember
if
the
they're
rest.
right.
Hakuna Matata. Same thing. I don't
Same
know.
deal.
Go
so
ahead.
I was so afraid of getting in trouble for asking for permission for something that I never asked. Like if my brother and I wanted to do something, he was the one who asked, not me.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Oh. So what would
and
getting in trouble look like? Like when you say you were scared to get in trouble, what would it be?
getting
Disapproval,
yelled
a
at,
smack, yelled at? Like
mostly getting yelled
what would
at,
the
and
trouble be? Okay.
getting yelled at, and sometimes being made to feel stupid for asking for
Okay.
the thing. Because uh, intelligence is an important thing to me.
Mhm.
Knowledge and value of my intellect, and anytime
Right.
that someone demeans that, uh, it hurts.
Totally.
And
When you feel looked down
yeah,
on, it's harmful. Yeah.
yep. So, and I don't know if my dad. I'm assuming that I had enough bad experiences asking for permission that I just got pushed off from it. Those
Mhm.
childhood things really just
Mhm.
they s- they last as
Mhm.
much as you don't
They
want them
do.
to. They last,
Mhm.
and I'm really
Yeah.
impressed that you're so healthy, Jen.
But yeah,
I
we have a
wasn't.
hard
Yeah. I
time.
wasn't always.
We also have a hard time sticking up for ourselves.
Mhm.
Like, and sorry is like our favorite word. I
It's the
remember
best word ever.
my
You
dad
guys should
told
be
me,
Canadian.
I know. My dad told me,
We do say
um,
sorry all the time. So silly.
my dad
Your
told
dad
me
told
that
you.
um that sorry doesn't mean you're admitting fault. You're empathizing and you care about the person and you wish they hadn't been hurt. So you didn't mean to hurt them, but I'm really sorry that you got hurt or that was
Mhm.
uncomfortable. But so I say it all the time. And my
Mhm.
boss is always being like, don't be sorry.
Well, and
She's a woman and she's been a great mentor.
yeah, and it's
Good.
also
Yeah.
for me, it's also like hopefully this will help me not get in trouble if I say sorry.
Mhm. Oh,
Mm.
probably me too, because I'm the child being scolded.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for being our therapist, Jen.
You're welcome. Yeah, right. No,
So
I'm just thinking here because I'm just thinking about one time my daughter, my middle kid, something happened at school and she was definitely not in the wrong. And her teacher would not let her come back in the room until she apologized. And
Mm.
she just refused. And this child was not one to buck the system at all. She was very rarely in trouble, but she was so confident that she had nothing to apologize for. She sat in the hallway the whole rest of the day. She just was like, absolutely not. I am not guilty. I didn't do wrong. I will not apologize. So then she finally decided to apologize by saying, well, I'm sorry that you feel that I did something wrong.
Mhm.
And I was like, you little shit. You know darn well you're
That
not
is what I would
apologizing.
do.
Yeah, but she was
Yeah.
like, well, that I was sorry that she felt that way. I just know
Yeah.
that that's on her and it's not on me.
It's
So
her
she said, I
baggage.
was sorry
Yeah.
she felt that way. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, fine. And she was allowed to go back in the class after that. But
Did
yeah,
you
I
get
was
a
just
call from
thinking
the
of,
teacher?
yeah, I did, but she knew I was on my
On your
daughter
daughter.
knew I was on her side. So we just
Mhm.
played the game and moved on. And I said, not everybody, even though they're an adult, are right. And that's
Mhm.
okay. But he's a good math teacher, so go learn math and don't worry about that incident. So you
So
mentioned like the Utah Mormon thing, and
Mhm.
I think where we're raised in the culture we're raised in, geographically, and all of that makes a difference. And then of course the culture in terms of church culture and family dynamics and all of that makes a difference. But when you say Utah Mormon, do you feel that there's a lot of it's important to keep up appearances regardless of what's happening under the surface? Is that
In
fair?
Utah, yes.
Mhm.
Outside the state, I have not encountered that. People are very
Okay.
much more open to being vulnerable and letting
Mhm.
their faults be seen. They don't
Mm.
pretend like I saw a lot in Utah.
well, I mean, you want to
Mm.
you see the same people you live next door to and see the same people every week at church. It's not like because wards in Mormonism, you're probably
Right.
familiar with this, Jen, are
Yep.
geographically designated, whereas like
Right.
in Christianity or Judaism or Muslim, probably not so much here, and maybe I'm wrong, but in Christianity at least, you go to the church of your choosing. If I don't like this
True.
congregation or this pastor, I'm going to go to another church. And
Yeah.
you've got a plethora of churches to choose from, whereas you're stuck with what you got in Mormonism, and so you want to put on a good face for the crowd.
Yeah, because you
It
can't choose your
almost
community in the same way, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
it almost became, and this is not true of all people, but some people, it was a contest of who could be more righteous. And the people that felt that the most was my daughter and the young kids who were getting that obviously from their parents. And not, I mean, I shouldn't say obviously, that's not true. My kids have done stupid
Yeah.
stuff.
Episode 2, which is releasing tonight. Today is March 8th. So I don't know if you've heard it on our backlog. It's episode 2. We recorded
with
it
your
with our
kids.
daughter, with our daughter and her boyfriend or friend, whatever.
Yep.
And we got into that a lot on that episode. So
Yeah, I liked that episode.
Reference.
I thought the friend was kind of, there was some things I paused it and I started asking questions. So I was like, darn it. Because I liked some of the dynamics there, except the dog in the background. Oh my goodness, that must have been a lot of editing challenges.
Yeah.
Whew.
And it's still not perfect.
Okay, but the episode was good. I liked the dynamics and lots of good information and conversation about different roles and things in that dialogue.